Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another car video. It is Tuesday, so it's actually been exactly 1 week since the election. I feel like I've been doing like more car videos, which I'm happy about, but I've been able to do a few more car videos for you guys because I know you guys love them. This is gonna sort of be a part 2 follow-up, not really, but kind of, to personality versus politics, which was a live stream that I did a couple weeks ago. A lot of you guys wanted me to do a secondary video, that wasn't a live stream, but that was just like, a regular video of me talking. A few of you mentioned the glare in my last video, so let me like preemptively apologize for the glare. The lights behind me, there's just sort of nothing I can do, I'm sorry. But I wanted to do this video, sort of follow-up part 2 video on personality versus politics, actually, because I wasn't sure if I was gonna do one. I kind of felt like, is there really a point to it? But I decided to do it because actually I was listening to the radio and they were talking about the sort of 4 main voters, I guess I'll say. And they kind of have the 4 main types of voters or groups, however you want to call it, and they had it broken down. And I want to talk to you guys about the way that they have these groups and how personality versus politics plays into that, and sort of what do we think you guys can let me know in the comments is going to be, I guess, the future of politics. Really hard question, and here's a fire truck. Yes, so they basically have the 4 main voter groups broken down into the 4 main voter groups that were really, 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 impactful this election. Black voters, Latino voters, and white voters with a degree, a college degree, and white voters without a college degree. Now, it was really interesting to me that they broke down the voters in this way, in this, okay, yes, I know. It was very interesting to me that, I just got an alert, sorry. Oh my God, I know! It just keeps giving me the alert repeatedly. Like, I know, I saw it. But yeah, it was really interesting to me that they had the voters broken down in this way, and then they like went through sort of like, I guess you could say like why each group kind of voted the way that they did, and like what was the significance of these groups at the polls. So with black voters, they said, black American voters basically still overwhelmingly voted Democrat, voted blue, that black Americans remain sort of the backbone of the Democratic Party and really secured this win for Joe Biden. But they also talked about how the turnout for some black voters for Trump did go up, and they sort of compared that to Latino voters, where they said that basically Trump made very significant gains with Latino voters everywhere, just like everywhere that Latino vote, especially where Latino voters are the majority of the electorate. Like, Donald Trump made super huge gains with Latino voters. I don't know why Eva Longoria is trying to make it seem like Latinos were the real heroes of this election instead of black women. The anti-blackness jumped out, as it is wont to do. Gina Rodriguez, anti-blackness is a huge issue in fucking all non-black communities, all non-black POC communities, like all white communities. Like, anti-blackness is a huge issue in all these communities, but especially Latinx communities, because they really try to push like this POC black and brown shit when it can benefit them, but then like they hate niggers, like it's really a weird thing. But they basically said that, like, and Latinos went so hard for Trump, like that in certain places Trump increased by like 50 percentage points with Latino voters. And so they were trying to figure out, like why. The context of this conversation I was listening to was they were talking about polling, and they were talking about like, is polling useless, like the way that we do our politics, nowadays, polls just seem like they're getting more and more useless every single year. And the dude basically said, like, we have 3 options. 1 is that we are able to tweak polls to get them right. 2 is that we just kind of accept the fact that the polls are going to be wrong sometimes, but they still give us a good idea of where the American people stand. Or 3, that we decide that polls are just like unfixable and we get rid of them, which, I'm option C, but you know, whatever. So they were talking about how the polls showed, you know, Latino voters coming out in these like huge droves for Joe Biden, and like Latino voter and you know, white voters without college degrees who make up, you know, really the primary, you know, base of Trump's support, coming out in huge droves for Joe Biden, and how that didn't happen, right? How the Latino vote really came out for Donald Trump, which surprised people. How Donald Trump remained, you know, he kept his core base of, you know, basically non-college educated white people, and that he actually got a lot of gains in ways that the polls were not expecting. And so one of the fourth group, like I said, so it was blacks, Latinos, whites without a college degree, and whites with a college degree. So they said that the gains that Joe Biden actually got that the polls did not anticipate, that helped him out a lot, bumped him up a lot as well, were college educated white people. And then one of the things that the polling dude said on the radio, he said, you know, there were a lot of college educated white people that historically vote Republican, you know, people that historically vote for tax cuts, people that historically vote with their dollars, people that live in the affluent white suburbs of Dallas or Atlanta, you know, these type of voters. He was like, these type of people that historically have gone red, a lot of them decided this year that they're not just going to vote with their tax cuts. This year instead, they're going to they felt like Donald Trump crossed the line, you know, like his repugnant personality was too much for them. And then he said in the reverse, you saw a lot of, you know, working class people of all races. He was like, you know, the white working class, the Latino working class. He was like, as well as some of the black working class that went for Donald Trump. He was like, you know, and a lot of these voters, they find Donald Trump's they don't like a lot of them don't like his personality. He was like, of course, some people do. He has a core base that they love him. But there were a lot of people that don't like Donald Trump's personality, but they said in the polls, they really liked what he did with the economy. They really liked his job creation prior to the pandemic. They really liked the fact that he's trying to push to reopen the economy so people can go back to work, you know? He was like Donald Trump's economic message and a lot of his policies around economics, around jobs, around taxes, all of these things. He's like, you know, there's tons of people that they hate Donald Trump's personality, but they like these policies. And so he made a lot of gains with people that they did not anticipate voting for him or did not expect to vote for him. He was like, and then again, like I said, the reverse side was that there are people that aren't worried about money. There are people that aren't worried about jobs. They're not worried about the economy, like the affluent, college-educated white voter living in the suburbs that historically, you know, would have voted for Donald Trump because he said, you know, the niggers are coming to your neighborhoods to fucking kill and rape, you know, shit like that. But those people just found him to go, you know, he went too far. He crossed the line. They can't support him anymore. And a lot of those people supported Joe Biden. What's really interesting to me about, you know, this conversation again is we're getting into personality versus politics. There are people that voted for Joe Biden because they like his personality, which they said on the polling station too. They were like, you know, these are people that maybe they don't even like Joe Biden's politics, but they like his rhetoric. They like his personality. They like that he's, you know, cool and calm and collected and reserved, and that he carries himself with some decorum, that he actually seems like he respects the presidency, like he's not going to just be on Twitter wilding out and insulting people and constantly picking fights and doing all this petty ass shit, you know, like they don't like that. Like they didn't like Donald Trump's personality. He pushed them over the edge. A lot of people that don't have to worry about certain types of things economically, right? But for people that have to worry about things economically, a lot of them went for Trump, even the ones that don't like his personality. And I feel like this is something that's becoming more and more prevalent with the way that we run our politics, because we run our politics like a damn reality show. Like the shit is a reality show. The shit is a circus. The shit is entertainment. The shit is like memes and like, you know, who can entertain us the most, or who can we identify the most with in terms of our identity politics. Like, oh, this person is a non-white woman, I'm a non-white woman, so I should support them regardless of what their policies or their politics are. I should just like go out for them, you know, bar none, no holds barred. And a lot of people just are not feeling that anymore. Like people are really deciding for themselves like what side of this personality versus politics argument they're on. Are you on the side where you're going just for a personality? Are you on the side where you're going just for an identity? Just, just for the symbolism, I said previously, I was like, the symbolism of having a woman vice president that's also non-white is great. It's cool. As a non-white woman, I can't say that I don't think that the symbolism of that, we're about to have a woman vice president it's cool. Like, I'm not going to act like it's not. However, I have a lot of issues with the policies of this person, and I'm not going to just put my issues with those policies to the side just because this is a non-white woman, Maybe previously I would have. Maybe in 2008 I would have, but not in 2020, because now, for me, it's more important that I get actual policy and actual politics that's going to help my group, my Black Americans, descendants of American chattel slavery. And then again, like, you have on the flip side of that, people that are willing to put their politics to the side for somebody that they like their personality, somebody that they like their identity, somebody that they feel like, again, is going to take, the presidency a little bit more serious. And so it's really interesting to see moving forward as we continue pushing our cult of personality and our sort of reality TV style, entertainment style, political structure, where people sort of fall on either end, on opposite ends of this spectrum, if they're going to be on the the identity just for identity side, the entertainment just for entertainment side, the personality, or if they're gonna focus on the actual policies and the politics. And where's this gonna lead? And where's this gonna lead? Especially, like I said, the whole context of this discussion was polls, and how now it's been two election cycles in a row where the polls have basically been wrong as fuck. Like, the polls really said, like, the Latinos were gonna come out for Joe Biden. That shit did not happen. They said that, like, the working class white people that went for Trump are going to go for Joe Biden. That didn't happen. As we know, in 2016, the polls were dead wrong as well about Hillary. So I feel like a huge portion of the conversation that's missing, well, I feel like two huge portions of the conversation that's missing is, as always, anti-blackness and anti-black racism. No one ever wants to take anti-blackness and anti-black racism into account when we're talking about the way that, especially non-black, but even black groups vote. That always plays into consideration, especially when you have somebody that's, like, actively running on, what could be considered a white supremacist platform. That always has to be brought into consideration. Other groups are always going to throw black people, and especially Black Americans, up under the bus. Full stop. But then, like, again, the second portion of that is, where are people going to continue to fall on this spectrum in terms of the personality versus the politics? And the dude on the show I was listening to even said, he was like, it's actually very odd and interesting, because he didn't say that we've never seen the polls work this way, but he said it's odd and interesting because we have a way that we do polls, and people, citizens, the American electorate, are consistently not behaving in the way that the polls think, because the polls don't think, but like, it's almost like an algorithm. You have an algorithm that's programmed to think that people are going to go one way with their politics, and instead you have people that are going a totally different way based on personality, based on identity, based on all of these things that, number one, a poll doesn't really know how to quantify, but number two, it's something that's constantly flipping, especially again in our 24/7 news cycle and the way that we talk about and consume politics as media and as entertainment, that people are they just like a personality, they like an identity, they vote for that. And then you have some people that, again, they don't like the identity, they don't like the personality, but they like the politics, or they like the policy, so they vote for that. How do we quantify that in a poll? I don't think we can. And how do we quantify that for the wants of the American electorate as a group, as a whole? As you guys have heard me say repeatedly, I don't think we can. I really think we're going to see the end of, like, presidential elections. Maybe not the end, but there's going to be some type of shift, because the way that we're doing it now is not sustainable, especially if it's going to continue that, like, every 4 years the polls are wrong, and every 4 years we just never know what's going to happen. And they also talked about as well that even though the Black Americans and the Black American vote remains the backbone of the Democratic Party, they still didn't even get as many votes as they thought they were going to get from the Black demographic. So they were like, something still didn't connect. Like, how are we going to continue on with this type of political structure moving forward? I don't think it's possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.